And we're rolling. Chelsea here, joined virtually by Richie Faulkner. Thank you for being here today.
Chelsea, it's an honor and a pleasure. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm doing well and very excited to talk to you about your new projects you got going on. I mean, you've been very busy in the Judas Priest world with tons of touring for the past couple of years, but you also just made your debut in your new band, Elegant Weapons, with the album Horns for a Halo. So I definitely want to start things off from that point. And can you start us off from the beginning? Can you tell us how and also why you first gathered this super group of a project together?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been something that's on my mind for a little while. I mean, I joined Priest on the farewell tour, what was meant to be the farewell tour, back in 2011. So it was on my mind back then, what am I going to do after Priest? I mean, fortunately, we're still here 12 years later, putting out new music with Priest, still touring with Priest. The world's a better place that Priest is still around. But at the time, I would have been stupid, I think, not to think about what I was going to do after the band, being that it was the farewell tour, you know. So the thought has been in my mind since then, but it's just obviously Priest has carried on. So I didn't really need to think too much more about it other than the potential of what I was going to do. So when the pandemic rolled around and everyone had a little bit of time, well, we had a bit of time. We were off the road. We weren't doing anything. Live music was a no-no. So I had some time to gather some ideas that I'd been working on over the previous couple of years, sit down and get them all together and see what I've got really. If I've got an EP, if I've got an album, if there's enough there, if it's got enough musical character to form a band around, and just go from there really. And that's how it came about. And then since then, we've put the record out. We just got back from a European tour in Europe. And then, that's where we are at the moment, really. It had enough of a sonic character to stand on its own 2 feet and not be Priest. Um, and so yeah, that's where we are. That's how it came about, and we'll see where the future takes us.
Absolutely. So, in terms of the specific members that are in the lineup of Elegant Weapons, was it people that you already had in mind that you wanted to work with, or ideas that came about along the way while you were writing? How did the actual lineup come together?
Well, yeah, initially it was, when the songs started taking shape and there was enough there to start recordings, to start putting down onto record. Um, first of all, Scott Travis, um, I've always promised Scott that, if I ever did anything outside Judas Priest, that he'd be my first port of call. And fortunately for me, he was able to do the record. Um, Rex Brown from Pantera, same thing. I've been friends with Rex for a little while. I called up Rex and asked him he was able to, so I'm really fortunate and happy for that. Um, obviously Ronnie Romero, and then moving forward, Rex obviously is doing Pantera, Scott's doing other things, and so I had to put another band around the touring lineup as we move forward. But it's just really the best musicians that I can think of that I'm fortunate enough to be able to call up and ask. I mean, they're friends of mine as well. That's the fortunate thing to be able to do, to call up friends of mine. And in some cases they're legends, bands. So I'm just fortunate enough to be able to pick up the phone and ask them if they want to be on the record. Or with Davey, Davey Rimmer from Uriah Heep. I've known Davey for 25 years almost, and just fortunate to have friends that are fantastic musicians to ask if they want to be in a band with me.
Definitely works out, and that's really fun too. One of the great things about Elegant Weapons is that it is a modern band. It's a modern sounding band, but it has traditional classic metal influence. But the thing is, that's not just an influence. The band members all really come from that classic metal world. Like you said, you got Rainbow, Pantera, and of course, Priest. Did you find this was the sort of thing where everyone's own touch came in naturally while writing and recording?
Well, I think originally I was the sole songwriter. You
Okay.
know, limitations of the pandemic and stuff like that. I put the band together after the songs were written. But definitely in a live sense. I mean, as we talked about on the record as well, when you get Rex and Scott and Ronnie Romero and stuff like that, they obviously bring their musical characters in. If you call up Rex Brown for the bass, and when Rex sends you the bass, it's what you'd imagine the bass to be. It's full of groove and grit and, you know, power that you would imagine comes from Rex Brown's bass playing, you know. But hopefully, as we move forward, you know, to the next record and into the future, the band brings their own character into the songwriting and the performance and stuff like that, like it does live. So yeah, that's what we're looking forward to.
Definitely. I feel like that's forming right now because you guys have headed out right on the road. You got a bunch of shows already. So I feel like you're forming that live sense of Elegant Weapons already. That'll definitely pull influence into the next record.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most important things for me, really, getting out and playing live. I mean, we're all kind of geared towards that dynamic, really. We all live to play live, as the saying goes, you know. And the more you play the songs live, the more they take on their own character on the live stage, and the more the band forms as a unit. And then, as you said, yeah, it takes that in, hopefully, into the songwriting process and the performance aspect of the next record. So it's an exciting time.
Absolutely. So getting more into the songs themselves, Blind Leading the Blind was the first single for Elegant Weapons. And it's a great choice because it's clearly that melodic metal tone and style, catchy with a groove, like you were saying, and the memorable chorus. So can you talk about what went into making this the first impression of Elegant Weapons?
But I think you hit the nail on the head, really. There's enough melody there. It's a straightforward rocker. You know, it's nothing too complicated, and it's pretty, you know, immediate in that sense. Um, and so we thought it would be a good single to, you know, announce the band and the new album. So as you said, catchy chorus, and there's elements of, you know, I can hear, you know, UFO and Thin Lizzy and Black Sabbath and stuff like that in there. Other people have said Scorpions and, you know, stuff like that. But I think it's a fair indication of what's coming in the record. You know, that kind of influence and that kind of rock influenced melodic heavy rock. So we thought it was a perfect example to open up the floodgates with. You know.
Absolutely. Let's also talk about the song Horns for a Halo. This one really made the debut as the title track with the music video. Was this always planned as the title track to represent the album?
Um, I don't remember, to be honest with you. I think it was one of I had another name for the record, but it just made sense to be one of the tracks from the record. And then we released it as a single as well, so it made even more sense to release it. You know, the record was going to be named after the third single, and it all tied in together. And it had quite a good sort of story behind the song and a lot of imagery behind it, and you know, that kind of thing about being judged at the pearly gates. You know, you're gonna are they going to see your horns or your halos? Because we've all got both. You know what I mean? That's kind of what the song's about. So I thought it kind of summed up the album well, and it's catchy as well. You know, the song title "Horns for a Halo." It looks, I don't know, it just sounded catchy. It's short and sharp, and so we went with that for all those reasons, really.
It is. No, it's perfect, definitely. I feel like it's reminiscent, you know, obviously Ronnie Romero having that tie into Rainbow. Horns for a Halo sounds almost like a slight Dio nod to me as well, you know, a heaven and hell type of concept.
It could be. It could be. Absolutely. It's like the two H's as well. The, you know, heaven and hell. Once for hell. I hadn't actually thought about that, but no, you're absolutely right. I think as well, there's a lot of juxtaposition on the record in terms of light and dark, light and shade. There's, you know, the name Elegant Weapons. It's kind of a juxtaposition. Horns for a Halo. There's there's a lot of juxtaposition, and there's kind of that kind of light and shade in metal and heavy rock as well, where you've got heavy passages backed up, you know, against beautiful passages as well. And I like that kind of experience. So it just kind of makes sense, really. But I like the reference you made to the heaven and hell. I haven't thought about that before, but you're absolutely right.
Nice, definitely. Well, also just like any album, not every track is going to be, you know, featured and given a spotlight with the music videos. So what do you think are other tracks, you know, whether it's that juxtaposition you were talking about, you know, the heavy versus the melodic and pretty kind of passages. What do you think are some other tracks that deserve some extra listening and attention, something that really stood out to you from the final product?
Well, I like things like White Horse. It's a bit of a longer track, but it's got a few twists and turns in it musically. You know, it's not the standard It's not a radio single, put it that way. It's not a 3-minute radio single. It's the opposite. It's 7.5 minutes, twists and turns, and it's a bit of a journey. So I like stuff like that. And one of the biggest compliments I think I've been given is that someone said to me, they didn't want to offend me, but they said that the three singles are by no means the best songs on the album. He said they bought the album on the strength of the singles, but were positively surprised when they heard the rest of it. They thought the rest of the album was much stronger than the singles we put out. So I guess that's a compliment, rather that than the other way around. You put out the strongest singles and then the rest of the album is a disappointment. But I thought that was a great compliment. They got the record and then were pleasantly surprised by the rest of it. So that's a good thing, I think.
Definitely. No, I agree. That would be probably a worser situation, to be disappointed by the rest of the record, hearing singles that are fantastic. And then you're like, oh, well, I was good with just the singles,
Exactly.
right? Like, you don't want that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. You've said that it's important to you for Elegant Weapons to embrace and nod to the legacy of classic metal while still holding your own unique voice musically. So we can be out here raving about how great the songs are, but do you personally feel that you reached that goal with this record?
Well, I think it's just a natural thing, really. It's part of who we are as as players and musicians and songwriters. That's where we come from. And I think it's disingenuous to be anything else. That's who we are. That's our DNA, and we're proud of those influences. Again, both as players on our instruments and as songwriters. So I think the influences are there for everyone to hear. Hopefully, out of that melting pot of influences, we come up with something of our own. Hopefully, and that's out of our hands, really. We're not kind of trying consciously to really do that. We're just trying to be ourselves and be a product of those influences. And hopefully, if we do that along the way, then fantastic. That's up to the listener to decide, if you know what I mean. If they hear something else, it's just our job to kind of put something together that we like to play, we like to hear, and hopefully out of that, something unique comes out of all that.
Definitely. Well, it seems like you guys are having fun with it. You have a great final product that came out in the form of the Horns for a Halo record. Now, you've also been working on a kind of separate side note from the band. You've been working with the Gibson Custom Shop to make the Richie Faulkner Flying V Custom. So not only is it awesome to see a new signature guitar from you, but it's also helping a fantastic cause because the proceeds go to the John Ritter Foundation and American Heart Association. So can you tell me about the collaboration between these companies and charities?
Yeah, well, obviously, when I got the opportunity with Gibson to produce a new signature guitar, for me, it's never about what I'm going to earn from the sales of the guitar. It's about the bigger picture. So it was about how I can kind of give back to the communities that help towards awareness and all that kind of stuff that goes with heart awareness and heart health awareness. So the John Ritter Foundation is obviously a specific one for aortic health, and then the American Heart Association is more general heart health. So it's two charities that are obviously close to my heart, no pun intended. I mean, awareness of those things definitely help to save lives. So the more awareness we can have for heart health in general and aortic health is something that's very important to me. So every guitar sold, my proceeds go towards those charities to raise awareness and help those charities in the future. And that's to me what it's about. I'm still here talking to you about it because those charities exist and raise awareness. Plus the surgeons, the doctors, the nurses, the miracle workers that actually do the surgeries and stuff like that. So it was a chance for me to kind of give back and make it about that rather than what I'm going to get from the proceeds of the sales. It's more about what I can do giving back to those charities.
Absolutely. No, and it's a wonderful gesture for you to do that as well. And, to acknowledge kind of not only just what happened to you, but also to help other people and reach out in that sense of, to hopefully prevent it from happening to anyone else as well.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
can you talk about also the design of your signature guitar and what went into that customization for you?
Well, it's the latest evolution of a guitar that I've been playing with Priest since 2011, and it's gradually been modified over the years. The latest modifications are the color is the main one. It's gone from black to a pelham blue. We've got a signature pair of EMG pickups on it. And it's also the construction is different. So you've got a one-piece body and a one-piece neck, which is different from the earlier incarnations of it. And then you've got the standard things which we had before, which were the double pick guard, which I've been using for a while, the Floyd Rose, the ebony fretboard, and the single volume pot and stuff like that. But right from the ground up, the construction is totally different. As I said, it's one piece. It's a one-piece body. It's one piece of wood for the body, one piece of wood for the neck, which is a big deal. And as I said, the new EMG pickup signature models. So it's the latest version of what I've been using with Priest for the last few years, and it's a good friend of mine. It's been a good friend of mine over the last few years. We've got it right, and then we decided to put it out. And yeah, it's been getting a positive reaction from the people that have bought it. I've got loads of messages saying they really love it, and they love the neck shape and all that sort of geeky stuff. But yeah, I'm just proud to again have my name on a Gibson guitar that's out there for the public to buy, and also be connected to some great causes, some great charities that have obviously been connected with me throughout the last couple of years, and hopefully long into the future.
Absolutely. No, it's awesome. Congrats on the release of that.
Thank you.
So also on the Judas Priest front, of course, we'll have to touch on that. The last time, like we were saying, we did an interview was when Firepower came out, and it's still such a strong record every time you listen to it. So it's lasted the fan community for the past few years, but there has been talk, including from Rob Halford, of new music in the works. Is there anything you can share about that at this point, or is it still maybe a little too early?
Well, I'm not sure what Rob said, but yeah, there will be. We're looking. It's actually in the mixing stages at the moment, so we're getting mixes through from Andy Sneap, and I always tell him to put the guitar solos up louder, because I'm deaf. But it's shaping up really well. The mixes are sounding great. So as soon as they're done, we've got to manufacture the thing. So I always say to people, it's mixing, it's mastering, and it's manufacturing. We've got to make the thing. We've got to make the vinyl. We've got to make the stuff that everyone's going to listen to it on. That the packaging, the artwork, and all that sort of stuff. We can then send it out, and it's that kind of packaging that everyone knows and loves. The front cover, the artwork that everyone knows and loves about Judas Priest. So got to get all that sort of stuff done. But as far as the mixes, the album is sounding great. We're talking about track listing, what order the tracks are going to go in, what tracks we're going to use, all that sort of fun stuff. So it's when you're talking about that stuff, it's near completion. So it's an exciting time for the band.
Sounds like you're very far along in the process, further than I think people realize based on the rumors right now. So I think we're all looking forward to hearing something from that very soon.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to have something that no one has heard. And it's a bit what's the word? You don't know how it's going to work. As you said, Firepower is such a well-received album. It's been out for a few years now, and we've got to top that one. People love that record, and we've got to kind of we've got a lot to live up to. But that's a great thing to shoot for. When something's when the bar's that high, you just got to meet the bar and hopefully surpass it. So we'll see.
Absolutely. And Judas Priest is always setting the bar high. So I'm sure it's a lot of work to kind of jump above those bars, but I'm sure you guys will definitely achieve it in this next one and beyond.
Well, hopefully. We spent a lot of time in bars, so we should know what we're doing.
Fair enough. Okay. So I also saw the Judas Priest show with Queensryche opening in Los Angeles last year, and I just wanted to talk to you about that because not only was that an incredible show, I mean, everything was flawless, sounds, visuals, performance, but I have to say an iconic moment was you guys bringing Glenn Kipton out at the end to do Metal Gods, Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight. That was an amazing closer, and I don't think I saw a single person at theater who wasn't standing up, cheering, screaming for Glenn really rejoining Priest on stage. So how was that for you playing that twin guitar sound with him live again?
It's always a touching moment when Glenn comes out, obviously, because we know what he's going through, the challenges he's going through. He's been going through for the last few years, So to have him out on stage, it's a lot for him. To travel out, to places like LA. It's a long flight. It's a big time difference. But it kind of, I think it. I mean, I know from what I've been through, the guitar and music and playing music is a medicine. It has healing qualities. So it's an honor to have Glenn up on stage, and it's really an inspiration. Knowing what he's going through, to have him up there doing what he can to get up there and play some songs with us is just an inspirational thing. So it's always great. It's always great to have Glenn with us, and I think if he can, he will be. If he can't, he won't, obviously. But if he can, I think Glenn will always strive to come out and do some songs with us if he can, and the door will always be open for Glenn, of course.
That's wonderful. Now, you're also the latest addition to the Power Trip Festival that was just announced either yesterday or today, since Ozzy dropped off the lineup. I personally think, I hope, of course, but I think he'll be okay. He was originally supposed to wait until 2024 to go back out anyway, so now he's just sticking to that original plan. But just wanted to get your thoughts on the festival since that announcement.
Oh well, I mean, it's great to be a part of it. Obviously, I mean, there's some heavy hitters up there: Maiden, Metallica, Tool. We've got Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, and now Priest. It's a shame Ozzy can't be there. I was actually looking to go to the festival before Ozzy couldn't do it, so I was going to go and check it out anyway. So now Priest are going to be there. I guess I won't have to book my flight anymore. But
You're taken care of now.
Great. It's great to be a part of it. Yeah, there's some classic bands. Again, the bar is raised high, but that's great. We always rise to the challenge. It'll be a great night. So we're looking forward to seeing some friends of ours, both on stage and in the bands and in the audience as well. So it should be a great celebration of some great music. We're looking forward to it.
Definitely awesome. So, I mean, this has been wonderful, kind of getting to know what's going on with Elegant Weapons, getting a little update on Judas Priest. So, I would definitely want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. So, why don't we wrap things up by you saying what's on the horizon for Falcon Faulkner right now?
Well, we've kind of gone over a lot of stuff. We just got back from Europe with Elegant Weapons, so we're looking for. We're actually going back to the UK at the end of this month for the Steelhouse Festival in Wales. Then we come back and we do Power Trip, with Priest. Then hopefully we get some more stuff with Elegant Weapons. Hopefully we can come back to the States and do some dates with you lot. And then we're looking at doing, as we touched on earlier on, the Priest album is getting ready to come out. We've got some Priest dates starting up next year. So it's kind of busy, there's some stuff on the horizon. But that's the way I'm fortunate. We're all fortunate that there's, all that stuff's happening. There's enough interest. It's exciting stuff. There's new band, Elegant Weapons. There's the classic band, Judas Priest. I'm just like lucky to be here, in more ways than one. I'm lucky to be here putting out new music and creating music. And so, yeah, long may that continue. It'd be great can't wait to see you all out there down the front row.
We're fortunate as well to be getting all this great music from you. So thank you so much for that as well.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. I'll let you head back to your day and get back to your busy 2-band schedule now.
Thank you, Chelsea. Take care now. Good to talk to you.
Thanks. You too.